Alright, welcome back. Race 4 of 4, Maui versus Oahu. Randy, the Godfather. See some boards here, see some of the people. Andrew Gibbons, Andy, there's me. Will, GP. Got a lot of F4 I saw on this video, which is kind of interesting. And there's the crew. Slightly smaller turnout. We'll have to look at the end. Actually, I don't think I added it in, but I will. The results. But this is your typical slippery Maliko boat ramp. It's Alex Aguirre there. He's the godfather of downwind foils.
Yeah. I put in my effort on the first run, so this one's just sort of like enjoy, soak it in. I love that you got your flip flops.
Yeah, what's your name?
Jason.
Jason, I'm out.
Alex, nice to meet you.
Are you the one that Randy keeps saying going solo?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
There you go. That one day was pretty big, huh?
I've had a couple of big days.
That one day was pretty damn big.
Yeah.
Jason wins.
Yeah, and I went at like 4 o'clock in the night. Like, not ideal.
See some big ones down by Pier 1?
Biggest I've ever seen anything. They look like 50 foot.
That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I went out with Guido, and Guido said it's the biggest he's ever seen Maliko. So like, that's a huge set of wings for me.
That's a big gauge you pack.
Yeah. Yeah, this was like semi-closing out.
That was pretty cool. Randy's been telling stories about me, but yeah, I did go out on one of the biggest days. Guido had said it was the biggest day he had seen, so that footage will be coming in the future. I've got it.
I'm coming up here.
This is a little bit of out of sequence, but I wanted to get the race footage up.
That's a good board. Yeah, I actually like that board. It's growing on me. It's not for sale anymore.
Frank's using my 7.6 in the second race of the day. First race he used the 6.8. And I can tell you 6.8 is not easy to get going in big bumps. He built me a custom 7.6, which is actually a really nice all-rounder. So it's actually small enough I'm happy winging it. Leash adjustment.
I actually find this one pretty stable. That one. And it has some good drive. It drives off the, it catches the bump. Alright, I'm gonna take off.
So yeah, Frank's on the 7.6 he made for me. I don't mind winging it. It's good in the waves. It's good in bumps with the bigger foil. Crushers like Frank can use it with small foils. It could be a good parallel board as well. Here's the start of the race. Not feeling nervous. Actually had a couple of beers before this race. Same setup. My 810 custom. 1070 fireball axis. 35 skinny. 70 fuse.
Good luck, everyone.
76 mast. KT paddle. My Voyager shirt there. Took me a bit to get up on this one. Took me 2 minutes. And when somebody else is foiling, 2 minutes is essentially a kilometre.
Oh shit.
So I fell off there, right behind somebody. own footage. She was standing up at the cliff top of the Maliko. So I managed to take a fall there. Flip the footage around so it makes a bit more sense. And blocking somebody. Sorry, mate. So not going too crazy with the attempts. Trying to make the smaller bumps happen, but not sort of blowing my energy system doing it. So first attempt I tried hard. I came down. Some half-hearted attempts on smaller bumps, and now I'm just really waiting for the right bump to make it happen. Heart's pounding by this stage, gasping a little bit, probably. I'm not as fit as I should be, which is interesting. So I need to do a bit more of this high-intensity stuff. I need to figure out how to add this to my routine. And I'm feeling very heavy-footed there, so that's a lot of extra strokes just because I'm tired and pressing my weight down onto the foil, which is bad beta. You know, you want to de-weight the system. You want to be light-footed, and I find that when you get tired, you just get heavy and you get thuggy-footed. But I'm up, and now the race is on. We will get to better footage in a moment. Although I do quite like these shorts. I bought them from High Tech in Kahalui, O'Neill. There you go. Wonderful shorts. Good size pocket. I've got my tourniquet in the pocket, leg pocket. So I've actually got a tourniquet. I'm not just happy to see you. I'm trying to calm my system down here. My energy system. Regain some semblance of normality. I don't normally push hard when I'm downwinding.
Sure bumps.
Unless I feel afraid or a little bit overwhelmed, and then I might push a bit harder. So normally I take things easy, but being a race, I was trying a bit harder, and I used a lot of energy to get on foil, and I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to come down early. I made the most of that paddle up. Wasn't thinking about filming, had the pedal at the ready in case I needed it. And now I'm trying to settle in. Mosaic vest. I do like the red with red. Bit of a clash with the Voyager shirt, but stoked to have a Voyager shirt now. I do feel like I voyage enough to wear the shirt. Paddle at the ready again. So I'm feeling a bit cooked from the first race. Legs are a bit tired. I'm a bit tired. As I said, I had a couple of beers between races, which wasn't ideal, but I was thirsty. Should have had a Powerade. The first race, I didn't lose it. My GoPro died on me, forever died. And Alison kindly went back to the house to get my second GoPro, which was my original GoPro that I retired due to being a little bit less than waterproof now. And so she went and grabbed that for me. And we didn't realize that the settings were slightly different. So this is set up for a slightly different view. So the camera angle looks a bit more natural to me, size-wise, but I don't like the field of view here so much. But it captured the race, so I'm stoked with that. And I lost a lot of the capture in the first race, so Really bummed about that first race and that I didn't get the full run. Checking the lens. So I was saying to Alex on the paddle out that this run was more for me and just trying to have fun. I tried my best with the first race, which I got 20th in the first Maui race. And I sort of judged myself against that, and that left me a bit tired going into this one. So this one is still a true result for me, and I was trying, but I didn't have as much try hard as the first race. And with that in mind, I took it a bit more chill. There's no point pushing if you haven't got it. And so I'm approaching this one for a bit more my usual style. Not attacking the bumps as hard. Still trying to cut a good line, still doing racing, but not pumping over unless it seems within my wheelhouse at the time. So I'm not really pushing hard here, just sort of enjoying it, staying present. But what actually ends up happening is as I settle into the run, I gain a bit more energy back and I feel a bit more normal. And maybe I forget that the race is on and I just try and do a good run. GPS is working here. It's interesting watching this back that my speeds are not as fast as I've been doing in my recent, because I've been training a little bit for the M2O and trying to race and seeing what speeds I'm capable of on certain setups. And in much smaller conditions, I've been going quite a bit faster. So that is quite interesting to me.
Race 2, I'm feeling pretty cooked after the first one. That was a tough start, but making it work. I feel like there's no one in my vicinity, so I came into the second one just thinking I'm going to do my own thing anyway and enjoy it. I enjoy the run, enjoy the privilege of being out with so many good bastards.
Bleep.
So, on that note, woo, amazing day.
Such an amazing day, such an amazing life.
Like 20th out of 56, which is incredible. I'm super stoked.
I'm always looking at my back foot. I'm standing quite far back on these boards, probably further back than they were designed for, but they ride so well from any position. And although I don't touch down the back of these boards essentially at all, I don't think that's just my stance, I think that's the design of the board. But I err towards the back of the board so that I am shortening the rear end. I know it's popular and I've been through it myself in trying to centralize your stance and making the board seem smaller by standing forward further and really balancing that swing weight. But when I do that, then I leave a little bit too much board behind me, and that board's not.
Legs back underneath. Bit of glide, and I might start feeling it.
The rear end of my board is not in my field of vision, and so I don't take care of it, and I'll often slap it down. But if I move my stance back towards the back of the board, I have a little bit more board out front. But because that board is always present in my vision and I'm using it to gauge height and whatnot, I don't tap it down because I'm taking care of that part of the board. And the bit that I can't see behind me, when I've shortened it, stays out of the way a lot better. So anyway, that's my thinking about moving back a little bit on the board. And having the mast back helps the board to track well. It's easier to overcome the lift, especially in takeoff, having the mast further back. So I'm finding quite a few advantages. I'm sure I'll keep changing it up as time goes. Some good speeds there, 34 kilometers an hour. I think I saw 36 kilometers an hour on the water speed app for this one. But in hindsight now, and it's always hard watching your historical footage, because I feel like I could do so much better with the information I now hold for speed, technique. But this is what it was on this day, and that's what we're looking at.
Oh, I got my new Voyager shirt. Yeah. Okay.
Cool kid indeed. So afternoon Maliko runs, you're often looking into the sun's glare. You can see it there. Some guys wear sunglasses. And some good beta that I was told was to get sunglasses that don't have a rim or a frame, because that frame blocks part of your vision and peripheral, and that's why you might find glasses a little bit uncomfortable to wear. But if you wear those sort of cyclist glasses or those sporty ones that are just the lens, then the transition is quite true from lens to no lens at the base of your vision or sides or whatever. And I haven't tried it. I've heard it from some pros though. Well, I've heard it from one pro that suggested getting frameless glasses. So I'll pass that on to you guys. Hopefully that helps somebody out there who has tried glasses like me and not found it that comfortable. I find it disturbs my natural ability to tell how high I'm riding. So I'm definitely going to get some frameless glasses to try them. You definitely want to look after your eyes. Whether or not sunglasses do that, I don't know. But the hat helps, at least. Beautiful looking bump there. It's trying to fade under me, but I made it over the crest, and now I've got a nice drop, holding some good speed. Using that speed to continue, but you can see that lump just got in front of me. There's no way to go through it. I have to turn away. Hi, mud. And that's basically how it works for a lot of my downwinding. The water's often moving slightly faster than me. Not always. But you can see I'm going like 30, 33, 34 kilometers an hour, and eventually the ocean still passes by. So that's just not quick enough to beat this. The pros in these conditions will be going a lot faster than me. They'll be going high 40s, maybe even getting into the 50 kilometer an hour range. So completely different lines that they'll be taking compared to me. But after using so many large foils, I'm used to going a bit slower than the ocean, and it's no surprise to me having ocean overtaking me and me having to deal with it. So again, that bump there on my left has passed under me. It's pulling a trough. I'll just establish on the back end of that trough and then look for whatever's being offered. Looks like I've got a downhill path there. I can get through those micro hills in front of me because I have an overall height above them. And there it looks like it's rolled under me, and again I have to fade off. If I keep going straight now, I'll be running into the uphill without enough speed to overtake it. So I need to veer off to the left or right, which is what I've done there. And trying to build my speed up again to try and overtake. But in saying that, I am taking this run a bit easier and not overtaking as much as I would with my current knowledge or drive. But I'm still getting some good, high 30 kilometer an hour sections, dropping back to about 20 kilometers an hour. So that'll be averaging about 25 kilometers an hour, which is just sub 2-minute 30s, and that's fine for this sort of getting home and at a reasonable time, but you're not going to win any races against the fast guys. What can happen is as you speed up, you no longer really have to fade off of bumps that are passing under you and creating a hill in front of you, and you'll find that you're just overtaking bump to bump, and you can pick your pathway as you see it ahead of you. So when you're going faster than the ocean, you get to pick your lines and use your speed accordingly. But if you're just slightly slower than the ocean, then the bumps are going to come from behind, and you'll get sections where you can match them, but eventually they'll roll off in front of you, leaving you an uphill in front that you cannot get over. You might be able to pump over one, who knows. But if you don't make it, you're going to be puffed, and you'll have to fade off anyway. And if you do make it, you've probably cooked your legs, and you won't be doing that again for a while. And so normally the course of action is just to veer off and find another section that works for what you've got, your speed, your height against the rest of the ocean. Because once again, a lot of this riding is just you falling with your foil, and you need somewhere to fall into. And so you're trying to follow terrain that allows you an area of water that is lower than you so that you can fall into it. And that is your stored energy, is your gravitational energy above low points. And the good thing about the ocean is that it keeps changing and rolling through, and that rolling will lift you and allow further low points. And because you're a human and you have a brain, then you can decide actually where you want to go to maximize the terrain. If you were brain dead and on a board and just rolling forward, you would soon just run into energy you just can't get through. And so you have to start making decisions to find pathways that are advantageous. And often that is a downhill, and a downhill that's going to lead into further downhills. But at the same time, you don't want to just rush into the trough, the lowest point of that downhill, because now everything else is uphill. And so you want to time your fall and your travel with the ocean lifting you. And often you don't even want to surge down into these low points. You just want to sit and observe from the top of the bump, like I'm at the top of the bump here. I saw one passing under me, so I faded. But at the top of the bump, you've got your most scope visually, and it's your highest stored energy as far as gravitational energy. And then a huge advantage is having speed on your side too. So that's probably a lot to take in, but I mean, if you're watching these and you're doing downwinding, you probably know that, at least on a subconscious level. And you might know more than me, so if you do, tell me in the comments. Teach me something, please. A lot of these variations that you can see, like the water's not smooth. If the water was smooth, you would have less options for travel. I don't mean smooth as in flat, but having bumps that are taut and drawn out. What we have here is when you can see variation in the surface consistency. Quite often a big bump will just be an overlap of multiple little bumps. So it's not as clear cut as what you think. Sometimes when you're seeing this overall bump there in front of me rolling off, which I'll turn behind it or roll off the back of it, that is actually, say, 3 bumps right now, going pretty much in the same direction, but not exactly the same.
Oh yeah, we've got some good bumps now.
And seeing that variation in the surface allows you to actually start spotting the individual energies, and you can kind of pick a path knowing that those energies are going in different directions and they're going to pull apart or further conglomerate. And what you'll do is you'll start seeing patterns of, you'll see something that represents something to you, and then you'll see it evolve into whatever it evolves into, and your mind will log that away. And you'll see that a bunch of times, and eventually you'll go, I know what's going to happen when I see that. That's going to start pulling a trough, or that's going to start fading, or that's going to start basically what I'm often looking at is things that are turning into troughs. And a trough is like a half pipe, and I'll ride the windward side of that half pipe following the leadward side of that trough, and that's some secure energy that I know exists, and I can see it visually, and I'll use that energy to build mast height, travel some distance, whatever it is, get to somewhere else, and then I'll tap it in the most efficient way that I know how, or maybe I grunt it out, but whatever, I know that's energy that's there, and then I'll use that, and then I'll look for the next best thing. And if I'm traveling quick, I don't just have to look at the things around me, I can look at things that are a bit further away. So if I'm traveling at maximum speed, I know that my inertia and momentum is going to take me somewhere a bit further, and my scope grows. And it often helps to look further out in that, in those moments where you're moving fast, because if you're looking at the nose of your board, it's going to feel like you're going very quick. But if you look out to the horizon and use your vision of peripheral and front vision, everything's going to slow down a little bit. And you don't have to worry too much about what's directly around you, because you know that even if you've got an uphill, you'll probably beat it with your fast speed. And so anyway, you start picking spots further away, and it's not until, say, like right now I'm moving quite quick, 31, 32, and I'm adding to that energy there to get over that little bump in front of me, but it's faded under me anyway.
That's a good little run.
And then I drop down to 17 kilometers an hour there. If I drop down to like 15 kilometers an hour, then I'm starting to look at the stuff directly next to me, because I need to pump into something that offers me a downhill section that's going to help me. If I'm going 15 kilometers an hour and there's only uphills around me, then I'm just having to survival, get somewhere, push, pump, paddle, de-weight the system, find the best open energy I can find at that moment. So having speed is great. It gives you so many more options and so much more distance, and it's much easier adding to your top speed than trying to build a bottom speed. So anyway, sorry, I'm going on, but I'm just talking as I see it. We're watching this together. But now I'm going like a nice 45 away from the wind, 45 degrees. You'll find there's angles in the ocean. Having a bump coming not from behind but from the side can allow you to ride that bump down the line, which according to you would be forwards. And the groundswell here is coming from the right, across my shoulder. And if that groundswell, you drew a line along it, it's almost pointing towards the harbour. And so that groundswell, you can ride it down the line of that groundswell forwards or back. As a power source. And depending on where you are with your learning and your understanding of foiling is how you're going to utilize those energies. I remember James Casey saying on a video years ago about using those little wind chops, bumps. I don't know exactly what he was referring to, but I'm imagining just those little peaks, the tiny little ones, those little sections. But I think he was actually talking about proper wind bump. But regardless, he was saying that it's surprising how much energy is within those smaller. Somebody on a canoe. How much energy is in those smaller chops? I'm not sure about energy, but what it can give you is a section of water that you can ride your foil up higher in. So it looks like a nice groundswell coming from my right there, about to cross through. And then it's passing under me, gave me a surge there. And I haven't tapped it very well. In fact, I'm having to thug my way to maintain a moderate speed there. But I'm following it to the left somewhat. I'm following the back end of that groundswell. So given that riding a foil is dropping, is falling, same as surfing, like a wave is lifting you as you fall, it's lifting you as you fall, and you're turning that into forward speed. Well, if that theory is correct, you want to be at the highest point in the ocean you can be, because that gives you your most fall in front of you. And if there's these little bumps around you, they can give you some security, and you can ride up in those chops with your foil, like your mast hanging out of the water, riding that foil as high as you can in those smaller bumps. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're using the energy of those smaller bumps. Maybe you are. But what you are doing is you've got some extra gravitational advantage there, because you're just all of a sudden up a bit higher than the rest of the ocean. And that allows you to drop, build speed, and then move on. So many things.
Okay, I forgot I was even tired earlier. I feel good. Happy to be cruising.
I've woken up.
Woo! Welcome along, welcome back.
See, the water's getting a bit lighter there, so I'm potentially over one of the reefs here. Nice consistent 25 kilometers an hour there. Touching down. Not ideal. Looks like a good bump in front, good downhill. But I've turned away. But the good thing is these patterns
a touch wider off the reef.
These patterns often repeat.
But
and
also,
so
this reef's affording me some slower swells I can actually overrun. So maybe I'm in the right spot.
You might get offered up a path and miss it, but the great thing about it is these things come in waves, and it's probably going to repeat, and you'll learn for the next time. You might miss it the first one, but then you can almost turn to follow it, and the back of the wave in front is the starting point of the wave that's coming, in some ways. So if you miss the bump, turn around, start following it, and the bump behind you is eventually likely to start lifting you, and you can then turn that into forward speed. But just cruising here, not really anybody in my vicinity. I do remember this, and there were some people, on my far right. And
Coming to my target, I can see it.
My target being a bump there, or a depression. But yeah, I think there were people going far out right, and I remember taking a good line towards the harbour, and I was actually starting to squeak out,
Like around something.
making gains on their position. So with my foil setup, I could go into the biggest bumps, but the thing is, I might not be able to travel any faster anyway, because this is a 870 odd centimetre square foil. And it has its limits. And, you know, it gets to like 34, but it starts feeling a bit draggy at that speed. So if I go out into bigger, faster bumps that could push me faster than 34, I don't really have the equipment on currently there in this moment to utilise that. So I'm better off trying to find ocean that suits my speed if it's a more direct line to my target. So they call that VMG, I think, in sailing, which is velocity made good. And I might be able to go 20% faster, but at a 20% worse angle towards my target, and then it wouldn't make sense to do that.
Fell on, crashed.
It might in some circumstances, but so often with a bigger foil, you can actually start pointing straight towards your target, and people that are on smaller foils that are potentially undersized, they actually have to ride side to side to maintain their speed because there's nowhere to go straight ahead. Whereas sometimes your bigger foil is more like a tank and you can just keep rolling towards your destination in a straight line. I found that the other day. I was riding with Scott and John, and I had a prototype foil on, this huge foil.
Don't need them yet, but I can feel the fatigue.
Imagine, I shouldn't say. It was big.
So I've passed some people, but my start was just so bad, there's no coming back from that. But we'll see where we end up.
Scott was on the 1070 or 1075, whatever it is, code R, which was much smaller than my one, and John was on the 1070
my time, so just what's
axis
important.
foil,
So I'll forget about the start. Anything can happen at the start.
which was nearly half the size of my foil, believe it or not, area-wise. And we kind of all got to the destination at the same speed, because although those guys had faster foils, they had to travel a much further distance to keep their foils running, whereas I pointed towards the target and I might have been averaging 18 kilometers an hour or something like that, but in a straight line, and they might have been averaging 23 kilometers an hour, but they were having to constantly snake and veer to keep their speed high. They couldn't just run through the uphills. There was nowhere to go. Right? The bumps were moving slow. So I was moving slow with the bumps, overtaking and pumping at the top end, whereas they were survival riding at the lower end. So anyway, long story, sorry. But
That's not banking O's.
when you're somebody of my energy level and skill level, sometimes it suits actually having the bigger foil. And looking at the speeds I got on this Maliko race, right? I was trying more on the first one. My speeds of recent on a much bigger foil have been faster per kilometre. So here I'm on the 870 odd centimetre square foil, and I'm getting 2-minute 20s, maybe 2-minute 19s. And the other day I was on a 1,000 centimetre foil, the next size up in the fireball range, and I was doing 2-minute 6s, 2-minute 9s, or 2-minute 9s, basically, in much smaller conditions. So something to be learned there. Don't always just assume that smaller is faster. In my experience, very much that is not the case.
There's Matt to my right.
Non-school teacher Matt. And when I say my experience, it's my experience riding with other guys using the smaller foils and me going faster than them on my bigger foils. So I'm on bigger foils going faster than the guys on the smaller foils, as well as I'm going faster than myself often when I'm on my bigger foils. So it's not just me racing myself, but racing others. There's Matt in the distance. He's on the Frank board, the 9.4. He was hoping to get his custom Frank made before this race. It wasn't the case, and so he used Frank's 9.4 by 16, 120 litre. Which I also used a bunch that board. It was amazing.
Get the breeze.
Just getting towards the end of the run. I'm anticipating some pumping and whatnot. So I'm trying to store oxygen. Trying not to work hard before I'm potentially needing to work hard. So storing oxygen, storing energy reserves. Cruise ship in the background to the left. So I know these sections quite well now, and I know that the water's going to start bouncing off of these wave breakers that protect the harbour, the rock walls. And when those waves are out of sync with the oncoming waves, they can often cancel out the troughs and create some mayhem in the water. I never really found it a problem. I was warned that this section is the hardest section for the Maliko. But I can say luckily now I've been trained in much worse ocean conditions than the worst that this Maliko had to offer. So the worst that the Maliko had to offer was actually kind of normal for me. Which is kind of cool, but kind of sad. It is what it is. Some of the booze behind me. At this point, I'm not going to let somebody just come along and pass me, so I'm staying aware of where they are, if they're gaining on me, trying to film them. The main thing is that I don't come off water. I would say that if the races, me and those guys behind, are just both riding bumps, it's going to be quite hard for them to actually catch me.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, I lost concentration there. They would have to be pumping over bumps or riding an aggressive line towards the finish to make ground on me when I'm not fading off the back of bumps. And potentially I am fading off the back of some bumps. There's Matt just going through the gate there, non-school teacher Matt. If I am fading, it's because I'm storing energy in my legs when I'm needing it. Through the gate. It's normally where most people consider their Maliko run over and they click their watch. and stop the timer. I typically try to get to the boat ramp. Even to my own detriment, I'll tire my legs trying to pump and make it when I know I shouldn't. And in the middle of the harbour there's a red buoy, and Shelley's waiting on the rock wall on the right, and she's calling the finish line between where she is and that red buoy. So here there was a little bit of bump, but there was wind at my back, and I figured I would use this paddle, which is actually a decent sized paddle, to try and help me sail.
Trying to do some aero assist.
Help me sail downwind. You can often feel that blade getting attacked by the wind when you do a turn. Sometimes the paddle will actually turn me around. Best K. Missed it.
Thank you.
So 28 for me. Not as competitive as the first one. Thank you for your sacrifice, Shelley. Calling out the times for people in places, amazing.
I couldn't catch up, Matt. I was trying. I had such a bad start this one. Well done, Matt.
Alright. We do have drone footage of... I can see the drone just behind my shoulder there, actually. Alice and drone at the end, so we get to see everybody finishing.
I was much more brave. I was dropping into everything.
Yeah, ride more relaxed.
Yeah, but I could feel I had no power. I went to push it just like empty. Woo! That was a great run, though.
Yeah.
Post
For my size foil today.
Maliko highs flowing.
Well done, dude. We meet again. Yeah. Maliko 2025.
Yeah, boo.
Yeah, we should drop that one. There we are.
Stoked to be riding with everyone, meeting everyone.
That's like a Maliko 5.5.
Listen to me.
Maybe a 6. Could be a 6.
Unfortunately, that's how my brain works.
Yeah, probably. Ask the local. No. Yeah. I think this one was good. Oh, there's a line going past there.
Alright, 2 races in a day. That's the end of the Maliko versus Maui versus Oahu.
There's the first one.
The first 2 races were on Oahu, and I did go over there for those, and I will upload those hopefully sooner rather than later, so we can keep a sense of the racing.
Yeah. You want to do another one? Let's go.
Let's go.
So you must have been right near me.
At the end I was, yeah, but I couldn't catch up to you.
This boat ramp at Kahalui is
Thinking about that myself.
is way less slippery than the Maliko.
I'm just gonna look at my times after the start and actually see how I did. I didn't pump much on that one, so yeah, it took it much easier.
Enjoyed riding with Matt, hanging out with Matt, doing some drive backs and whatnot. Amazing human. Just so full of stoke and sharing, so generous with the stoke. Amazing.
So good. That was fun. That was a good one.
I think I battled him a little bit on the previous race, but he just was clearly faster than me. Some of the crew. Brydog. Also another amazing human. So full of stoke. Shep there. They were the top 2 seeds for the 40s division. GP.
How'd you go, Frank?
Frank got 10th, I think. I think he says 11 in this, but I think he got 10th. Guido got 5th. I think he got 4th in the first one. Or vice versa. Gabby there got 8th, I think, or 7th, and vice versa for the first one.
Great conditions, but also, yeah.
I was just 1 behind Will the previous race.
I did the second. I was a little bit like thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Cool.
Sick. I got 28.
Nice setup at the end of this run. There's a tap. GP brings his hose. It's good to get rid of the salt. It gets a bit itchy as it dries.
11, that's excellent.
Yeah, Gabby came out of nowhere.
4?
And Ryan, I was ahead of Ryan, and then I was too far in. And they were further out, so I got like
Came to wild.
shitty bumps.
Yeah. There's some of the ground swell was working in there though. I got a couple
Crusher.
of good.
Yeah, I think I was too far in.
Okay. I thought I was going to be last because I felt like the last one taking off and everyone was so far away, but then over the course of it I started catching people.
Yeah, behind us.
So I'm going to try and ignore the start and then look at my times.
Yeah, just work on.
I was going to look at numbers.
I see the Voyager shirts there, quite popular.
This one was 35 minutes. Not as good. Yesterday was good.
Gabriella Bello.
Yeah, I'm liking the longer boats. I think I'll stick to that.
Absolute beast.
I got like such a good. Sam.
There's Ralph coming in.
Oh yeah. I just put him in my Easy come, easy go.
Honestly, such an amazing crew.
You weren't alone. I couldn't get up either. Well done.
Oh, there's Harper.
Yeah, what'd you get?
25.
Okay.
I had a really good run, but
It's
it took
Andy.
like a minute to get up.
Yeah,
That
same.
water, I think it was like a little weird at the top, and then that board just like takes. Yeah, that was just the thing. Like once I just kind of gave up.
Yeah,
such a good.
yeah, literally over the top. Felt like the finish was a bit closer.
How was it, Ralph?
Great run. I couldn't get up.
That happens.
What about you?
I got up fast because I got the big wing, but then I had people passing me.
Yeah, usual story. Big wings are good for getting up, but not so good for holding speed. But this is the only downwinding cat in Maui, as far as I know. Harper's always there. He always beats us to the harbour.
Yeah,
Like 80 to 90%.
He's always there. She's always there waiting for us.
It's weird if you're just doing a free ride, right?
A lot of stray cats in Maui,
Yeah.
No consequence.
Yeah, if you're like
and they get taken care of,
fastest skater ever.
and they get
Yep.
neutered, and they get their ears clipped to show that they've been desexed.
Yeah.
But there's an awesome crew of people that go around feeding them, and Alison and I got some numbers for some of the people,
Yeah, likewise.
and we started buying food to help the cause, because there's literally hundreds of
Make sure to get a video of the cat. Cat's ass.
pets' ass. Randy,
Hey, buddy, good job.
another excellent human.
That was a tough one, that second one.
The second one's tougher, you think?
So generous with
Much
the
better
stoke.
run, but I drank 2 beers in between.
Oh, I see. Fire water.
Took that one easy. Oh, yeah, I think so. Away from dogs, chickens.
Yeah, I wanted to adopt Harper.
She loves her pigeons.
I want to bring it to sardines. I bought her some catnip stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Chicken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I started buying treats for her,
I
but
love animals.
she's pretty well fed, actually, by the team that come around and feed them. The same guy's been feeding
When I get home
Harper
tonight, I want to see this video of.
every night for
Great.
10 years. So he's known Harper for 10 years.
Shooting it.
It just goes up magically. It takes no time, no effort.
Yeah. It's like, it's the upload button.
I got drone footage.
Gabby calls her Jenna.
Oh, yeah.
Apart
Cool. How
already?
it? Yeah. Nice.
Did you break apart already? You're on the...
Kane and Andrew came in neck and neck. I mean, it was like a photo finish.
I got it on
Second?
the drone,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, real?
good.
and I got yours in on the drone too.
That's coming up next.
Yeah, I was pretty knackered.
Empire Beer.
Apparently it was filmed.
I saw somebody with their shirt on.
Gabby using her superpowers on my board there.
And I was thought about that.
Everyone was horrified. My foil was dragging across the concrete.
That's alright, it's still fine. I'm leaving the foils anyway. Yeah, for Frank. Demo, do you want to try one? Really?
Elliot,
Good
another
Harper.
name for the cat.
Jenna.
Gabby calls it Jenna.
And then we asked the guy who feeds her, like, what do you call it? He was like, I have a name.
Yeah.
No, or
It feeds like 500 calories.
yeah. 70 different places. Or no, maybe not 70. It was 70 at one location, 30 at another.
Such a good boss. Allison helping to de-rig. Nice tight fit there between my mast and fuse. So that's one of the Spencers. He won on the right there. And this is the photo finish of Kane and Andrew. Bam, what a finish. Kane just taking it out. But also, Kane hit a fish on this run, came off foil, and managed to get back up on foil and still claim second. I should have looked at the names before I did this, but this will be fourth place coming in. I didn't edit out the start, so you can actually see the time and how long it took people to finish comparatively. This will be Guido coming in fifth. Absolute crusher. Riding the Frank 8.4, 110 litre. Axis Frank. Big gap to 6th. Big gap to 6th. So the top 5 are pretty close. See the bumps? They're not great coming in. Not that easy to ride. You definitely got to put in some leg work to get all the way to the ramp. Alright, there's 2 people coming through the gate. 3 people. It looks like a good battle for 6th. The guy on the left has the shorter distance to travel, but the guys on the right have the wind a little bit. Oh, alright, looks like 6th is taken care of, but 7th and 8th. Oh, that's Gabby. So that's Gabby in the orange. First female finisher. Bam. Crushes. I wonder what she was using. So this will be 9th. And then that's Frank there, coming 10th in the pink. So yeah, he got 10th, not 11th. So he's on the 1000 fireball, 35 skinny. Somehow making that just work, like he's just cutting straight through everything. Amazing. That was my 7.6 board. So edited out a bit of the space between now. Yeah, it must have been 11th. Battle for 12th coming in. Good battle. I mean, that's a draw to me. Is this 13? Is that Casey? Beast. 14, 15. It might have been Casey on the 110. Lift. Another battle. Yeah, boy. Oh, close. So they're probably right on the finish line here. It's a shame we can't see the buoy. I've lost track of the numbers, sorry. Straight line versus a surfing line there. Looks like Sam, maybe, on the left. Nice steady finish. I wonder if that was Andrea. That looks like Andy on the right. He's just gotten himself a fancy Frank board. Kenkai maybe. Cruising in. Oh, that's John Hearn. And turtle there on the left, bottom left. Popped up. It looks like Matt, non-school teacher Matt. Probably on the 860R code, if I had to guess. Nice pump. And that'll be me in the middle, holding my paddle up for some wind assist. I'm definitely taking the more surfing down the line approach. But I've run ahead of the bump. I ain't got no legs. So I'm still trying to tap ocean energy there with my pump, and that's not really a self-propulsion pump there. There's the buoys behind me, pretty close. Oh, there's the red buoy there in front of the cruise ship, so you can cut straight across from that. That's the finish line. Horizontal from there. This is my main man, who I either don't know his name or I've forgotten, unfortunately. But in all 4 races, we've finished within a shaka distance. Is that Paul? You just met him in the comments, finally got his name. Oh, I've forgotten. I'm terrible with names. I learned so many names in Hawaii. My lord. Oop, got to the store. Looks like Ralph. See, the water's quite shallow there. Alison must have ran out of drone batteries, so she's keeping it above the land there. Oh yeah, so that between that tree and the buoy, the tree on the left, and the buoy was the finish line. It looks like Elliot. I think he's on the 860R code as well, actually. Nice little wave there. Oh well, winding down. Hope you enjoyed the footage. Pretty awesome to see this drone footage, actually. Thank you, Alison. Congratulations to everybody doing the races. just being able to downwind in the first place is incredible, and being able to do it under race conditions is just it's not easy. So congratulations to everybody for getting it done.